Welcome to another edition of Keeping It Orange and Blue. I'm Ryan Evan, joined as always by Kevin Ducey. Uh, Coming off a pretty, disheartening, pathetic, embarrassing, whatever you want to say, whatever adjective of fail you can come up with. That's how the matchup with Wisconsin ended, and a lot of really good came out of that, and it all got shit on. So, Kevin, other than that, how are you doing?
Other than that, how's the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Yeah. Well, your Bears won today.
But yeah, but what are they playing for? Like, I mean, it's draft picks or nothing. This team's not going to win anything. You know what the good thing about today is that Jordan Love is playing just well enough that the Packers aren't going to replace him at quarterback, and he sucks. So there's that. No, it's just, man, it's just so frustrating, dude. It's just like this was a loss. I mean,
yeah, you know what? Me and Kevin are gonna vent like we always do. Me and Kevin haven't even discussed this game. We're just talking now on air for the first time about the game. So
yeah,
I'm just gonna let Kevin go, man. You go for 5-10 minutes. I don't care.
Yeah, you're leading going to the fourth quarter. You're up 21-7, and you go completely vanilla on offense. You lose your best player on defense. You're already without arguably your second best player on defense. I know it's probably premature to say this because it was probably coming in the season. You'd say Gabe Coleman or Gabe Yakis or Seth Coleman were your third best players on defense. But I'm sorry, in the 10 minutes that we saw Matt Bailey on the field, he's a real difference maker back there. So, yeah, I understand that. But why did we go so vanilla on offense with a 14-point lead? Like, it just astounds me how we find the same thing again. We find a way to get the ball to the tight ends early, and then we stop. And we find a way to get the ball out to our guys in the flat, and then we stop. And we ran read option and kept it with Altmaier, and then we stop. It's just like you've got – and I know they ran Altmaier a lot, and it was probably wanting to protect him a little bit. But I'm watching the Miami Dolphins tonight, and I've said this on the show over and over again. I don't know if the Miami Dolphins have a wide receiver who's 6 foot tall. Why? Because they play this scheme where they get quick guys and they get them in space. Can we please do some more of that? Like, can we get some of the quick guys on the daggone field? And it's just, it was such a huge opportunity for not only the rest of the season, but for what the season could be, because Minnesota's not that good. Iowa's not that good. Indiana's not that good. Northwestern's not that good. You find a way to hold on to a game and don't let one get stolen from you, you could win the West. And I know, what does that mean? You could go get beat up by Michigan, who I think is the best team in the country right now. It's just so frustrating that we just lack the ability to put a team away. And every 50-50 call goes against us. I think you and I know I've argued that it wasn't a targeting hit. I mean, if our quarterback got hit like that, I would expect a targeting call. It probably was the right call. I kind of agree with you, but I'm not going to knock Johnny Newton, who played his tail off today. I mean, you got guys on NFL scouts on ESPN who are tweeting about how well he played. He had a Pro Football Focus grade of 95.5, which is 100 is a perfect. I mean, it's just, you don't see that. And I'm not mad at Johnny. It's just, that's one of those things like, hey, Johnny, just go take the ball from him. Like, you don't have to hit him. Just go grab the ball. Just go take the football. Just put your mitts around it. Go take the ball and run in for a touchdown. It's just, oh, man. And, here's the thing that some people aren't going to realize, right? Braden Locke was really good. Like, he was really good. He was 21 of 40. Wisconsin probably had 6 drops. I mean, 6 legit drops. And he threw that touchdown, not the touchdown pass, but he threw that pass to set up their last touchdown. He dropped that thing in an absolute bucket. He made a play on 3rd and 10, was like, it was just, I mean, he made some really good throws. I thought our DBs made some good plays, but he made some really exceptional throws. So they've unfortunately got another good one there at quarterback. And I'm not sitting here making excuses. But for some reason, some way, their wide receivers can get separation, and ours just couldn't. Because even when Altmaier had time, he couldn't seem to find anybody. I mean, he completed 13 passes for 100 yards. I mean, that's an abysmally low total. I mean, that's
was it 8 yards or a catch?
Yeah, 8 yards a catch. I mean, that's so low. That's so incredibly low. Where Wisconsin completed 21 balls for 240. I mean, that's 20 plus, right? We just couldn't get any separation, and I'm not going to sit here and knock Luke because of the way he made some great plays. Especially, it was incredible with his legs. He rushed for 100 yards. They just got to figure out ways to win. They got to figure out ways to close the ball game. And I know people want to blame Lunny and they want to blame Henry, and everybody wants to stick the blame here. The players got to go execute. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, and I think that the loss, as you mentioned a little bit, it boils down to both factors, in my opinion. I think I don't think how many times have we seen the Illini defense give up a pre-half touchdown or a pre-half score,
Yeah.
Way too much. And there is one thing that stays common in that is when Henry calls prevent defense.
Yeah.
And it's just that's where, as the coordinator, though, I think you're setting those guys up to fail because they are not good at that. And Brett Bielema even mentioned in the postgame presser that they're a man-to-man defense, and they don't really do well in zones. But for some reason, and I'm hoping, and I really hope that Aaron Henry has figured this out now, and we don't ever see it again.
Well, I heard a lot of people say this, but we blitzed on 3rd and 10.
Let me finish though. But yeah, so okay, we blitzed on 3rd and 10. You're correct, and you know what? Sometimes some guys make some good plays, and Locke made a good one there, but that's fine. But
Clayton Bush played patty cake with the running back. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and then you see, so Clayton Bush doesn't need to be blitzing then, or whatever the hell he's doing.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So my point is that has never turned into success though for the Illini defense before half. And to me, we had all the momentum, and I think right there, if you get that, and then you get the double dip, like you score, you get the stop, and then you get the ball. It wouldn't have been 100% double dip, but like you're taking in, snatching any possible momentum from them, and then let's say Illinois goes down and gets a field goal or a touchdown. And man, I think they're done at that point. But that touchdown, though, put life back in them that was able to sustain them enough to have confidence that they could move the ball some because they had nothing going earlier in the game. And I know some people disagree with me in the call, and hell, Jeremy Warner agrees that it was a targeting. I've never once said anything bad about Newton on the play. Like I know he made a football play that for 100 years probably wouldn't be targeting, but for now it is in the rule book, and that's just how it is.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I really loathe it. But if you look at it to a degree, no matter if you have your hands in there or not, you cannot dip your head in this fashion and come anywhere near the bottom of a helmet or their neck. And he clearly was at the neck. You can see that. And the tip of his crown is on the very bottom of his helmet because his head was turned. Like, to me, even let's say the people that say that wasn't, that's borderline, and you can't risk that. Like, to me, you just can't risk that. And I know it's a bang-bang play. I'm not mad at Johnny Newton because he's a beast, and he really was a difference maker in the game. And had he not got kicked out, do I know he would have won? No. But I really felt like the team would have figured out how to stop a 3rd and 10 draw up the middle, or they would have got a lot more pressure because when he left the game, how many missed tackles did we see? I mean, let's not mention that. Yes, Locke was very good and had some great balls, but not just the 3rd and 10 draw to Braylon Allen they gave up, right? The bucket, the pass when they rushed 3 in zone that you mentioned before. There was 2 more other 3rd and 10s that they gave up, or 3rd and 9s that they gave up on those 2 touchdown drives that you just got to get off the field. And they couldn't, they were missing tackles. Odaluga missed 2 really big tackles on Braylon Allen.
Yeah.
Rosick missed a big one. Nicario Harper got ran over twice. One of them you thought he had stopped at the line of scrimmage. He just bulldozed them. And those are prolonging the drives. And while I'm not gonna blame Lunny for the loss, as you mentioned, though, when the offense gets really vanilla in the fourth quarter, who is that on? Is that on Luke Altmaier? I mean, who is that on?
No, it's on Lunny. I mean,
yeah. So Lunny and I can't sit here and say this is not on Bielema some too, because Bielema likes to run that clock. He likes to milk the clock. He likes to he was trying to run the clock out as much as he could and be vanilla in the middle of it. And I do know that the wind played a factor somewhat in that, because I heard the wind was howling so bad from the south to north that it was really tough there late game to throw the ball in that.
Oh, well, yeah, 100%. But you've got to get creative with some of your schemes.
So the one big play on that really did hurt us is that Henry Boyer hold. He completed a pass to Tip Ryman that would have been a first down. And then you get to hold on Boyer, and then it sets you back to, I think it was like second 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you're behind the chains, and it's just not good late game. And then let's add these things too. How about Tyler Strain playing center field instead of just knocking the ball down on 3rd and 10?
Yeah. I went back and watched it, and I said my thought process was all he had to do was kind of stop and go up. But when he turns and locates, like, his momentum was just, I mean,
it's a play. It's a play he's got to make, though. You can't.
It's a tough play for a kid who's 5'9" to make. I mean, like, it just.
And Will Pauling is 5'10", so I will say this.
But Will Pauling is seeing the ball entirely in flight. Strain is getting to a point, turns around, like, it just. Yeah, he's got to make that play, but I think we all think it was easier of a play than it actually was.
I'm not necessarily saying he should have intercepted it. If anything, though, you get yourself in there where you can at least disrupt it and knock it away, because he just went up and took it, and it looked like Strain was trying to catch it. He was more worried about trying to catch the ball.
Yeah, I think he might have lost track of where the receiver is on that, to be honest with you.
So not just that play, but then how about Strain on that punt? You could have maybe Wisconsin backed up to the 4 or the 3, and the ball and the punt hits Strain in the leg on the 17. It's like every little thing that you think could have went right for Illinois just went wrong. But sadly, Kevin, it seems like that happens quite a bit.
Or the punt returner bailing, and there wasn't really actually kick catch interference because he didn't. Like, I mean, I have a big problem with that call. Like, I mean, it's just like, what?
Yeah, I remember the play you're talking about. Yeah, catch interference just because he ran away, and they said he didn't give him space to catch the ball.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you got to make the defender actually impede on the returner. The returner can't move out of the way of the ball because the defensive players there. There was just a couple of those that were just weird. I'm not, and the ball hitting Strain. I mean, that's just a little bit of a fluky thing there. I mean, we just got to get more. We've got to do some. Like, you have things that are working in the playbook offensively. You've got to become less predictable, and you've talked about it over and over again. When we get in this mode where we think we can just run 3 downhill, and he did a great job. But Aiden Lawfrey had 3 carries for 18 yards. I mean, like, there's. Wouldn't you
have loved to seen another jet sweep from Isaiah in the 4th or something?
Jet sweep reverse. Jet sweep pass, like
anything.
You got to get you're playing not to lose, where the defense, especially when Newton's out of the game, you had to go down and get some killer instinct. And once again, I mean, I know we won the toss and we deferred. Can we defer and get the win in the 4th quarter? Like, I mean,
yeah, that made major factor.
Why do we not get the win in the 4th quarter? Like, we're the home team. We won the toss. I don't care. They have to get the ball first half and second half. Get the ball in the 4th quarter. Get the ball with the win in the 4th quarter in Memorial Stadium when the wind's blowing 20 miles an hour. It ain't that hard to figure out. I've been going to games at that stadium for 40 years. Like, it ain't hard to figure out. You want the win in the 4th quarter. And dynamically changes everything. By the way, that punt that hit off Strain, can we tip our hat to Hugh Robertson on a great kick, by the way? I mean, my goodness, he kicked that ball 40 yards in the air into the wind. I mean, that was a heck of a boot.
The last thing I want to make mention before we kind of salt this away to one that, obviously we'll never forget, and I think it's really bothersome because they had 54,000 fans showed up, Kev. homecoming. You know, it's like, come on, pack this place.
Yeah.
The team has laid 2 stinkers in a row for the fans that want to come and show and support them. And that's what stinks, man. It's like the fans have bought into Brett Bielema and they're trying to support the team. But let me tell you, it's really hard to keep going back to get your heart ripped out of your chest every time you go. Like, it'd be nice to have you just hang on to one or maybe show up, unlike they did against Nebraska. It's like you don't show up against Nebraska, you don't execute, and then you dominate and you're winning, and you just literally shit yourself in the fourth. Like, where is the middle ground in there? Can we get a middle ground? That's what I'm asking. I think most Illini fans would like a middle ground in there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, how about we show up, play pretty good for the whole game, and then we'll see where the cards lay then. Let's not play really good for 3 quarters and just forget how to play and how to coach for a whole quarter, because that's super heartbreaking, disheartening. It kills morale. And let me tell you, nobody wants to come watch that. And I guarantee you that's going to really hurt when they watch the film today. I bet you it really hurt. But one last point I want to make, and I'll let you take the floor and we can transition on to something else if you maybe the bye week or Illinois basketball. But you like to give credit to other shows and people, and that's great. But so the Field Pass, I saw, had a post out there, a tweet of, since we're running the clock down, we're trying to milk the clock, right? They took account of how far down we were running the clock on each of those snaps in the final 8 minutes of the game.
Bad.
16 seconds was on the clock, 8 of the snaps.
Yes.
10 on about 5 or 6 more. 8 on 3 or 4 more. Think how many – let's all add that up. 16, 10, 10, 10. I mean, and we're trying to milk the clock, and we gave Wisconsin the ball with 3 minutes left and 3 timeouts. There should be probably at least a minute and a half or a little less, if you're really taking care of the ball. And to me, if Barry Lunny did relay that to Luke Altmaier and he just chose not to, then that doesn't sit well with me, and it shouldn't sit well with anybody listening to this. But if he didn't tell him, then that's a problem that really should be addressed, because that's unacceptable. That's something that's something you don't forget to do in Madden, let alone an actual game that you're getting paid $750,000 a year to coach.
Yeah, the only thing, we didn't sustain any drives late in the game, and I think I have a problem if we're trying to milk the clock with 7 minutes to go. That feels like Weber ball to me, to be honest with you. I'm not gonna dance from that. But however, if we're doing that in the last drive, then yes. But I think there's some of those early on. I'm not really want. I want us to be more aggressive, and I think there's a level of, we're all right. Now it's a close game. We're gonna milk this clock and try and win, as opposed to dude, we're going to take this ball and we're going to run it down your motherfucking throat, and we're going to score a fucking touchdown, and we're going to put this game out of reach. There's got to be a different fucking mentality. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's
way too it's a pussyfoot, and it's like we don't really believe what we're – and I might say this. You think about these. Without 2 Hail Mary type amazing throws and catches from Casey Washington to Luke Altmaier, Illinois is
1-6.
1-7.
1-7. Sorry, yeah.
1-7. So if there's not – Illinois' defense this year has not shown one time at the fourth quarter that they can make, the stop down and distance of we're not giving up points. They did it against Toledo. They did it against Kansas. They did it against Penn State. They've gave it up. They did it against Purdue. They did it against Nebraska for the most part. They made some stops down in the red zone, but they still gave up, a touchdown and a field goal. But and then think about last week. Illinois was up 24-10 late in the third. They gave up 14 straight points, 10 straight points, 24-14. They gave up 10 straight points and allowed Maryland to tie the game. And then we had the ball last to go down to win the game.
Yeah.
So the defense has not ever been like, we're making this big critical stop here. We're not giving up any points. They always give up points. It's either a field goal or a touchdown.
Yeah,
So
there is, like, you and I both overestimated what it was, what it would take to replace the 4 guys in the secondary that are now, 3 of the 4 of them are on NFL teams, and I don't know if Kendall Smith is on a practice roster or whatnot, but
he played really well in the preseason.
He did. So we forgot what that costs. And hey, dude, listen, the next time T-Rod Edwards or Denzel Daxon make a play, and I know Calvin Avery didn't make a lot of plays, but he made plays for other guys. Like, we're missing that guy too. We got to give some credit. Like, we lost. We knew we lost a lot, but we thought that our defense would get enough pressure to make a difference there. And there's transition here, and I know everybody wants to crap on everybody in their first year and whatnot, but like, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things changing. That being said, Keith Randolph is gone next year, and so is Johnny Newton. Johnny Newton is the best interior defensive lineman I've ever seen at Illinois. I think he's better than Mo Gardner, and that pains me a little bit to say it because Mo's incredible, but Johnny Newton is just unbelievable. You just don't replace a guy like that.
Did you see his highlight reel that they on Twitter?
It was unbelievable. And not a single holding call against him, by the way. But Yakis moved inside and had a really good PFF game. So that's something that may happen, is that maybe he's more of a defensive end player than an outside linebacker. And so we'll see.
And we can't forget, though, Keith Randolph didn't play. Jershon Newton was not in the final,
Yeah, it's huge. It's hard to hold tight there. So.
Yeah, Daxon actually had a really good game, and so did Yakis. So really quickly, though, and this goes to Sean Garner's question, and I want to talk about it for a few minutes here. I don't think they'll win their next 4 games, but I actually do believe the team's going to get to a bowl game. I think you can just tell this is literally pissed Newton off big time, and he was already fired up enough. And I think you're getting your Randolph back. Minnesota's offense is half of what Wisconsin's is. Their offense is pitiful. Defense is decent, not good, decent. So I think we're going to go up to Minnesota and win in a couple weeks, and I'll talk about that. I think they'll be 5-3 and feeling really high on themselves and overlooking Illinois, just like their media is right now. I follow a couple guys like Ron Johnson, who used to play for the Gophers and who played in the NFL for a nice little decade, I believe. He's talking about how they're going to get to 8-4 now, and it stinks that they blew that Northwestern game because they'd be 9-3 and will probably win the West. And everyone's already overlooking the Illinois game. They don't care about that. They're like, oh, we're going to be 8-4.
Well, the fact they won, they called that a fair catch is absolutely ridiculous. But we'll say that paid the deuce.
Yeah. So yeah, I know that mattered to you. But I think Illinois is going to win 3 of their last 4 games. Heck, they could lose to Minnesota and still go in and beat Iowa. I mean, Minnesota gave them a game. Everybody's giving them a game. They ended up just somehow making these plays on special teams or whatever. But I've got Illinois winning the home games with Indiana and Northwestern, especially senior day with Newton and Randolph and all those guys on senior day. There's no way they're losing to Northwestern. I think they'll be 5-6 heading into that game. So I think that game they'll get to 6-6. I think I've seen enough to know that they can do that. Can this team also shit themselves? Sure. I just don't see that transpiring because I know these losses have just made them all sick and as much as heartbroken as we are, they're heart-wrenching, they're gut-wrenching. You just keep you up at night stuff. So I personally think they have it in them, Kevin. I think they can win 3 of their last 4 games, and I think they will. Even though 6-6 was a low point probably for us to even say. But to me, if they can get to that, that's a big deal for those young players that are going to be starting next year for practices and all kinds of other things.
I agree. It's just they really just they've got to buckle down and find a way to steal one of those games at Minnesota or at Iowa. The bye week, there's some respects the bye week's coming at the worst possible time that loss lingers for 2 weeks. But
that also can have fuel for 2 weeks.
You're absolutely right. absolutely right. And I think that Brett is showing a lot of fire and fury for his team. And I hope to be when I'm in attendance to see us play Northwestern at home, it won't be like it was in 2021 where it was just to beat the Purple Cowards.
It was just to keep the hat or get the hat back. Yeah.
So I hope it's to go to a bowl, which would be pretty cool for some of those guys. And if I have one complaint with Luke Altmaier, hey Luke, you threw a contested touchdown pass to Tip Ryman. 14 was open in the back of the end zone. Can we just get my man Casey Washington a touchdown catch, please? Please.
Yeah. I know he's had 2 big game-winning catches, and we got to get that man a touchdown before it's all said.
He's never had a touchdown catch. I mean, it's just insane to think about.
His whole careir, he's never had a touchdown.
He's never caught a touchdown pass at Illinois. That's why he's never caught a college football touchdown.
Didn't he score a touchdown on a scoop and score against Maryland a few years ago off a fumble? Remember?
He may have.
Reggie Love fumbled a big run against Maryland, and he fumbled it. And Casey Washington scooped it up and ran it in for a touchdown.
Yes, that's right. Yep, it was a sophomore season. It was in 2021. I mean, he's played in 5 seasons. I mean, he played 10 games in 19, 8 in 2020, 12 and 21, 13 last year, 8 this year. I mean, he's played 90. I mean, he's played a lot of games.
He's a season. People don't remember this, but Casey Washington was he made a big catch in the 2019 upset against Wisconsin.
Yeah, he's got great hands, and
he was a freshman that year, and he had a big first down catch over the middle from Brandon Peters.
He's got 100 catches in his career for 1,000 yards, but he does have 1 touchdown, just like you said. It was the scoop against Maryland. It looks like so.
Yeah, so we got to get that. Let's maybe do like a hashtag campaign. Get 14 a score like what?
Get 14-6. Get 14.
Yeah, 14 for 6. Yeah, or 6 for 14. Something. I would be like, Lunny, we got to make it happen, man. In the red zone, look for that man. I don't care. I think he could handle maybe a halfback option or something. I don't know. I think Isaiah Williams can handle that.
I mean, like I said, he was wide open on that play. So.
Yeah. I don't know why Luke chose to make it the hard one, but thank goodness it worked, though. I mean, I was feeling good.
This guy's got 98 catches for 1,100 yards in his career at Illinois, and been a hell of a blocker, done all the little things. I just want him to get the touchdown. But that's a stupid point of the show. Let's. I mean, we could beat this Wisconsin game to death. It was sad.
Oh no, we're gonna move on. I just wanted to make mention that for anyone that's like, oh, Ryan's negative, blah blah blah. I still have hope for the team. And I still believe they can make a bowl game. So I guess shit on me for that too, for anybody that thinks I'm negative. You know, I think I would like to take a poll and ask how many Illinois fans think they're going to win 3 or 4 to end the year.
Right.
You know, I think that. All right. So Kev will transition to basketball season. Illinois dominated, and we got to see a whole bunch of different lineups and matchups in their first exhibition matchup against Ottawa. What was your initial takeaway from getting to see, Hawkins and Guerrero shooting threes and Domask and Goody on the floor at the same time, seeing Dre, DGL just doing his thing? What was your initial reaction to seeing the team?
So I'll be honest, I haven't been able to watch the game in its full entirety. Friday had some plans going on with the family, and obviously being an exhibition. But if you look at the 10 to 12 guys that we're expecting to play, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different guys hit threes. 8 guys hit threes in the game, with including, we had 7 guys hit threes, 9 overall, with Kuchar and Red hitting the 3. I mean, we don't expect those guys to play. It's just one of those things. Like I like the fact that we had points last year where we went like 9 games where we didn't have more than like 2 guys make a 3 or something like that, or more than 3 guys make a 3. So there was something ridiculous last year that we went through a stretch. And I think that this is pretty nice. I think that Coleman Hawkins, man, that shot looks pure. And there's been a lot of talk that he's been working on his arch there. And that was really nice. The assist numbers were fantastic. 26 assists, multiple guys with 3 or more assists, which was, I really think that's really encouraging there. I thought we rebounded really well from what I did see. I think Marcus Damascus is going to be a really fantastic player for this team. I mean, 6 boards, 6 assists, 8 points on 6 shots. Just did all the little things there. Terrence Shannon, 18 points in 16 minutes on 9 field goals, 6 free throws in 16 minutes. I mean, the guy, like, that is what he is going to be this year. The change in the block charge rule is going to be so beneficial for Terrence, who's such a downhill player. And I know that he's put in work. I don't know that there's a lot to take from this other than we know that we've got more guys, right? We've got more guys that can actually do things on this team and make some shots. But we could have said that last year. I will say the one concerning thing here is we were 12 of 22 from the free throw line. We were 6 of 16 when Terrence Shannon didn't take free throws. Like, that's still a huge concerning factor is, Ty Rodgers 1 of 4 from the free throw line,
Yeah.
It just that there's just aspects of this that are very frustrating for me because I think that those are some things that can really hamstring a team down the road. Ty was 0 for 3. Draven was 1 for 4. That's, you got to be better than that. And I know Draven is not a 25% free throw shooter. He just flat out isn't. From what I did see too, I think Justin Harmon did a really nice job of just letting the game come to him. 4 field goal attempts, 3 rebounds. He's just got a steal. He's just gonna be that guy. I think I'm very bullish on what this team can be. Jay Bagan says, "How about DGL though, a baller?" He is. Like, he has a different freaking gear, man. Like, the guy is just. He is just gonna. I mean, him and Sincere just give you so much energy coming off that bench, and DGL is so much more of a threat to score. So it's going to be nice where Underwood's going to have to find places and spots to use those guys. They seem like a team that liked each other. We talked a lot about the Illinois football team last year, that they really liked each other. I don't think the basketball team last year liked each other very much. I think Matt Meyer is a weird dude. I think Sky Clark and Jaden F. were.
Yeah, I think Ty Rodgers actually came out and said that, didn't he?
Right, and I think that, and as much as I love RJ Melendez, and I carried the bag for him on this show for weeks last year, I think he was all about himself, to be honest. Coming back, it looked like if he wasn't playing well, he just was like, so it's like, I don't think that, I think with this guy, I mean, I made a tweet about this, like, Marcus Damask has more college starts in his career than the entire team did last year coming into the season. We had like 102 career starts at the D1 level coming into last season. We have 300 plus this year. We had something like 393 total games played. There's 640 this year. We have like 5,000 minutes. There's 15,000. This team is just so much more veteran, and I think that's what you'll see. Now, I will say this, like, the exciting part is we got a game Friday night against a really good team. The frustrating thing for me as an Illinois fan, especially one who lives in Oklahoma City, dude, there are plenty of $40 tickets left, folks. Plenty of $40 tickets in the building. There are center court in the 200 level court seats available for $85. Like, what do you want to go? Like, I know it's just an exhibition game, but it's an exhibition game against the number 1 team in the country that is being televised. Bill Self and Brad Underwood, I'm sorry, for all the things they're going to say, are going to coach this game differently, right, than a standard exhibition game. I'm not saying they're going to play it like it's a regular November game at, the Champions Classic or the preseason NIT or whatever you want to call, or the Maui Classic. It's not going to be that, but it's going to be close. Like, these guys are putting their squads on a nationally televised game. They're going to want to show something here.
They don't want to look like crap.
No. So buy your tickets.
I believe it's Sunday, by the way, not Friday. But
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm getting ready to leave on a trip here, so my days are all out of whack. So forgive me on that one. Yeah, that's cool. Sunday at 5 o'clock.
Where are you going, Big Kev?
I am going to Orlando. So
okay. I went there this summer with my family. Went to Disney. So is this?
I'll be there Tuesday, back Sunday. So I'll be back Sunday to be able to watch the game.
Awesome. Yeah, it'll be 5 p.m. on 5 p.m. on Big Ten Network. So, since I did watch it, I'll mention some of the things that you kind of talked about from the box score and so of those 6 shots that you mentioned from Marcus Damask, 2 of those that he missed really actually rolled in the rim and around the rim and folded out. 2 3-pointers, literally, they all look good, man. Even his misses look good. So the man easily could have had 14 points on 6 shots. So, and Guerrero looks like he's ready to just hoist those threes as soon as he gets them. Yeah, he was like bombs away the moment he's open, and he will take them. He can hit them. But I like, and then Amani Hansberry just in the post is just a presence that you can kind of tell is going to be a guy that's going to be hard to keep off the floor.
14 points and 12 rebounds in the limited time they played. That's incredible.
He's a below the rim kind of guy. You can just tell it now. Even when he had a chance to dunk it, he just goes in nice and soft with his left hand, which it's okay. But he's so.
I'll say this: there's a level of maturation there. It's on BTN, by the way, Sean. There's a level of maturation there from Amani Hansberry that, in my opinion, tells me he might be ahead. You're a freshman, your first game at the Assembly Hall. You got an opportunity where you can maybe do something and superstar cram at home. He's like, no, I'll take the bucket. I don't care. 2 points, 2 points, dude. So Amani Hansberry's got arms for days. He's got go-go gadget arms. He might not have the most hops, but trust me, he could have crammed that in. He's like, no, I'll just take the easy bucket.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm cool, man. Yeah, that's what he does. He can finish either way, but he's just like, no, I'm cool. I'm going to lay it in. He had like 3 of those.
Yeah.
Where you're like, you would have seen last year some of our guys trying to like dunk on 2 guys. He's just like, man, I'm good. And then Dre Gibbs Lawhorn, man, just flashed it in the second half. He had a couple threes earlier in the game, but he hit. He had a superstar. Just when you watch it, a highlight reel block on one end.
Yeah, it was incredible, and then run the break in the dish.
No look, dished under the rack
to Amani, right?
Yeah, to Amani.
Was it game? 1 and 2, man.
Yeah, and then he's so easy around the rim, just glides, reverse layup, and then, takes it to the rim and can, finish with either hand himself. So he looked really good. And of course, we know what Terrence and Coleman can bring. They look good. But of the newcomers, and like you said with Justin Harmon, he didn't do anything. He just doesn't force it, like heck, when I was actually watching the game, I didn't even see him take a shot personally.
Yeah.
I may have turned it off and stepped away for, they were up by 30 sometimes. So I walked away for a minute, maybe was talking to my son or something, and then came back and, Harmon's back in. Okay. Yeah. He just didn't shoot any time that I watched. So he would set the next guy up, which is great. Which is really good to see. And then, Ty Rodgers is bringing that full intensity and effort. And while the free throw shooting struggles bother me, I think I don't think it could be any worse than it was last year. I think you're going to see a lot more from him this year. And then Nico Moretti just looks like a nice, solid piece of maybe a guy that's going to calm some things down sometimes. Let's say a team's full court pressing, or they're pressing Ty Rodgers a lot in half court. I think you're going to see Nico Moretti come in and get some time. He's just very cool with the ball. It's like he I saw him. He made one turnover. He tried a silly no look to the corner, and instead of hitting the guy in the corner, he hit, I think, Luke Goody in the leg, who was on the bench, and that really pissed off Brad Underwood. But the fact is he's just real calm. You don't speed up Nico Moretti. So that's kind of what I like to see there too. That was basically what I saw from all the new pieces. And I think this year's team, the thing that sticks out the most to me though is depth. He's like depth.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Luke Goody and DeMoss together is just going to be scary for guys because you got 2 guys there that shoot around 40%. So, that's going to be problems, especially when you can throw it down to Danger. And Danger looks good. Looks like he slimmed down some. He looks more confident. And I think you're going to see a better version of Dane this year, which last year around 10 points, 5 rebounds. If you're thinking you're going to be better than that, I think I'll take that any day of the week. What if he gives us 13 and 7 or something?
Yeah.
You take that every day of the week.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Demosk is our second leading scorer. I mean, I think it's probably. I mean, Terrence is going to be the leading scorer. I just don't think that Coleman's going to shoot enough to be the second leading scorer. I think he's got the ability, but I think his ability to facilitate and do some other things and just guys for be fresh late in games with that depth, right?
Oh yeah, that's what screams. And as you mentioned, the starts is just huge. Like there's not going to be anything that worries Harmon or Guerrero or Damask when they're in there because they've been there, done that. So there's no high pressure situation that they're going to be. Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do here, or like, oh man, it's a late game situation. I got to handle the ball. Damask's not going to panic if he's in the middle of a press or.
Yeah,
Of helping bring the ball up, or Guerrero has to guard maybe the team's best player who's a 4, or Harmon has to help take care of the ball and handle the ball. Like he can do those things. So yeah. So I really think Illinois is going to take up a step above. I think the third or fourth, where most people are picking Illinois in the Big Ten, I think is going to be pretty accurate. And I'd be pretty surprised if this team's not in the top 25 for most of the year. They're going to have a really great chance early when top 5 Marquette comes to Champaign November 21st. Illinois, who's already ranked, they'll probably be close to 20 by then because teams there's always a bunch of couple teams that lose.
Yeah, they play some really tough games. Those like the tournaments I talked about. Yeah, like
so they'll probably be 20-ish by the time Marquette comes. You beat a top 5 Marquette team, you're bumped into the top 10 automatically. So
most likely, yeah.
So you're looking at you can take care of business there. You're already in the top 10, which has people's eyes on you. You got a marquee win already, and then you've got you get Tennessee 2 weeks later in Knoxville, and then right before that, actually, they play FAU, who's a top 10 team. In Madison Square Garden at the Jimmy V Classic. So you're going to have more potential for big wins to help continuing to boost your resume and be up in that upper echelon of where you want to be to start the year, because as Illinois knows from last year, you get those big wins early, they'll help save your hide there come March.
Yeah.
No matter what. So, yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. We saw how important getting big wins early in the season was, because without the Texas and UCLA games, we don't make the tournament. So
I don't believe that that's going to matter as much for this team, but just having that under your belt helps breed some confidence, I think.
Yeah.
And to not have this monkey on your back, like I got to finish 13-7 in the Big Ten,
Right.
So other than that too, Illinois though this weekend had a huge visitor, Jeremiah Fears. Again. So, I'll talk about him for a little bit and what I've been hearing in that regard. So Jeremiah Fears, of course, from plays at a prep school there in Arizona, where Ty Washington went. Ty Washington, who was a big recruit for Illinois and Creighton, and ended up going to Kentucky. But Jeremiah Fears has been to campus several times over the last couple months. Yep. I think this is the third time, maybe not several, but a few times. So obviously good news, just to have him on campus and stuff. But I've heard the Illinois is continuing to lead. I think it's trending more back to being a 25 commit. You can correct me on anything you've maybe read or heard or, talked to anybody about, but just from the people I know who are very close to Jeremiah Fears. So this is coming directly from people close to Jeremy Fears Sr. Is that mom and dad love Illinois. They want him to come to Illinois, and him being there at the prep school in Arizona. There's people in his ear about like Kansas, Duke, whatever. Arizona. Yeah, definitely Arizona in his ear. But I think that having, mom and dad both in the Illinois camp favor is going to end up where he ends up at Illinois. I think, with Merez Johnson, he knows what Illinois has still with good young players, plus Merez being there, which I think he'll at least be there the 1 year that Jeremiah wants to play. I think they're one and done. I think Merez would be a sophomore. But still, just what you got built there, what you got in place, and what Illinois will still probably more than likely have with some of their good young players like Hansberry and DGL. So, but Jeremiah Fears, unless you've heard something different, I'm expecting him to be Illinois. He's just enjoying his recruitment, enjoying some love he gets. And the only name that I heard that Illinois could be worried about, and I still think it's going to be Illinois, is if Kentucky offers. So Kentucky still has not offered. And apparently that was just a school he's always loved and wanted to maybe play before, but he hasn't gotten an offer from them yet.
And they just got the number 1 point guard in 24.
And that's the big
Indiana.
Yep. So everything to me is spelling out.
If Fears wants to come in 24, you let him. It's just this is all there is to it.
Yeah. I just am saying from the mom and dad's perspective, I don't think mom wanted him to come in 24. She doesn't think he's ready physically. And I know Dad.
I'd be more mentally worried if I was as a parent, to be honest with you, but that's just me. So
yeah. So that's what I've heard. Kev, you heard anything different?
No, nothing different there. And Jay Began asked about Mikey Lewis. Yeah, I think Mikey Lewis is going to go to St. Mary's, to be honest with you. He's got a commitment on the 27th. So that is Friday, right?
Yes, let's help Kevin do math here, everybody. All right.
So that is Friday. We play Sunday. That game is Friday. That commitment, I'm sorry, is on Friday. And I think that Mikey Lewis is going to pick St. Mary's.
Yep, St. Mary's, which is surprising. But, he is a California kid. And St. Mary's has a really good program. And they win a lot of games. And, good for him. I was told that Illinois was only going to get 2 of the 3, either Fears, Lewis, and Butler. And they just had to pick the 2 they really wanted the most.
And people got to understand something on Jace Butler. He may be ranked below Mikey Lewis, but everybody that Ryan and I, the stuff that we pay to read, the stuff, the people that we talk to in the know, the friends that we have in the business, Jace Butler's the real deal. This dude is the real deal. His passing is absurd, how he hits people in perfect shooting spots. And I think that's the deal. I don't think that Illinois would have, I don't want to say passed on Mikey Lewis, but Illinois backed off the full court press on Mikey Lewis. I don't think you do that unless you think you're in really good with Jeremiah.
I really wish, man. I might look for it while we're still on here. I'll play it maybe next week. The clip that this guy who, is a very well-respected West Coast. I'll play the clip, the West Coast recruiter. I think we talked about this offline once. He was at this big, California AAU event, and he was with a college coach that had won a national championship. He wouldn't tell me who. He wouldn't tell anybody who. But he said he was sitting there with this guy, and he'd built a rapport. He's been covering college hoops for 23 years, he said. He's got you can look his Twitter handle up and all that good stuff. So when I post the video next week, you'll know it's for real. He has his own website. He delves into the West Coast. That's just where he lives. So, and Jace Butler's from California. Well, anyway, he said, the coach said, hey man, you got to come over to this court and watch some of these 5-stars. One of them's one of my kids. And he said, no man, hey, one of my favorite players in California is playing over on this court right over here. His name's Jace Butler. And the coach is like, huh? And he's like, yeah, he's a really under-recruited kind of slept-on kid. He's like, he's around a top 200 right now. But let me tell you, if you actually watch him play, he said, you're going to fall in love with him, And he said, while this coach really couldn't take him no matter what, because he'd already got a bunch of commits from, top 50 kids. You're not going to turn those kids away. But when he watched Jace Butler, all he could tell him is that, wow, some of the passes this kid was making, some of the moves he's making around, the basket, the way he uses his body, his 3-point stroke, just everything yelled, underrated, underappreciated. And that he said someone's getting a steal. And Illinois really wanted him. I think that's why they weren't really too worried about it had to be Mikey Lewis or else, is because they really love Jace Butler. And I think Illinois fans are really going to like him too. And that got me excited, though, when I heard that story, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I mean, the kid he's got a good frame. He can really shoot the ball. He's a really smart kid. He was thinking about Stanford. He played super well in the summer. Like, he shot up the rankings. I think Illinois is getting a steal here. And so while I really like Mikey Lewis's game, I still would take Fears over Lewis. So if you can come out of this with Butler and Fears, it's certainly a win. So
as we wrap this up, after we're over the 10 o'clock hour here in Illinois, and I'm sure in Oklahoma as well, Kevin, any final thoughts you got? Any golf? Anything going? I know there was some more golf news. Another Big Ten golfer of the week Illinois had, it looked like.
Yeah, he would have to ask me that and put me on the spot. It was a freshman. He went out there and basically lapped the field. But I cannot.
No spot. No offense. I just happened to see that a few days ago that Illinois had another Big Ten golfer of the week. I just keep noticing that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name here. I can't recall the end. Here's the thing: is this my final thoughts? I'm gonna stick in football here. The season's not over. We certainly lost the game we shouldn't have. We are dealing with some stuff here that is pretty challenging as a program. Illinois, it was foolish of me to come into the season and predict 10 wins. Is that Illinois is not a team that gives up guys that are picked in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft and just is okay. Illinois is not a program that just deals with its defensive coordinator and basically its right-hand guy and Kevin Kane leaving and just is okay. It's just one of those things that is really, really difficult for a program like this. Like there was somebody who posted recently the total stats of like where we ranked in recruiting in the Big Ten, and Illinois ranked 14th out of 14 teams in the Big Ten in overall stars. So I think we got to give a little bit of grace here that we've got some challenges going on, and that's been really challenging for us. But the season's not over. You can go into Minnesota, you can go into Iowa, you can steal a game there. You've got to find a way to play better. But both those teams have major flaws, so it's challenging. But that's that. And I want to go. Timmy Crawford shot 16 under in the tournament when the team under total for Marquette that won the tournament was 12. He played as an individual. He didn't play as a team. He was the Big Ten golfer of the week, Timmy Crawford. So
there we go. Timmy Crawford. All right. I'm learning more about big Illinois golf as these seasons prolong, and I pay attention to it more. I mean, I do appreciate what Mike Small's got going there.
Well, when you got me on the show and I happen to love it, it makes part of it. So
yeah, 100% truthful. Sorry, my son was over there and he was looking at me like, Dad, I don't care you're doing your podcast. I need you to open this cookie for me. And I'm like, all right, because he was just holding his hand out, and I'm like, I'm not going to turn him down for 3 minutes. With that said, I'll stick with the final thoughts as well. So with Illinois football, I think it's important. As I mentioned, I think Illinois is going to get to 6-6. I do believe they can win and will win 3 of their final 4 games. I think many of us underestimated how good those guys were. Heck, did you see the big? I mean, if you watch Devin Witherspoon play for the Seahawks this year, I think you're realizing what Illinois had was special. And the secondary. Sidney Brown started tonight for the Eagles on Sunday Night Football. Calvin Avery was a hoss, as previously mentioned earlier today in the show. And then Kendall Smith was still a senior who had played a lot of ball. This year's dependent on a lot of young players and a lot of transfers. Like Clayton Bush hadn't played at this level before. Nicario Harper had just left from like Jacksonville State. Demetrius Hill was a guy who got injured early that was a freshman All-American Illinois was depending on. Injuries have ravaged this Illinois team. Let's just keep it real.
Yeah.
There's a reason that they're super thin in these positions because injuries have really, really hurt them. And also depending on guys like Tyler Strain and Xavier Scott, who really only had half a year of last year experience.
Yeah.
This is really their first full year. I expect them to get better, and I really hope they do because I think there's plenty of talent there to be said. You got Gabe Jacobs coming back. Seth Coleman can come back. I think there's a lot of hope for next year to be better than this. I know you're losing Randolph and you're losing Newton, but there's still plenty of talent left and young guys to get better and exciting. Ced McConnell, he looks good. There's a lot of talent there. You just can't keep losing games like this. the way they have been at home. I mean, honestly, it can't get worse than that. And there's still enough talent to fix it and get to 6-6. So I salute every fan that came Saturday. 54,000. That's damn impressive. I think that's the most since the North Carolina game 7 or 8 years ago in Lovie Smith's first year. So with that said, bid week ahead. Fade the Deuce Wednesday. Illinois on a bye week for football. They're going to be resting up. Then we got Sunday night, Kansas, and Illinois on the Big Ten Network. So will you be able to do Fade the Deuce from Orlando Wednesday night?
I should be. Yeah, I can make. Yes, I'll be able to make Fade the Deuce. Yes, and I'm not going to miss that Wednesday night. I'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be flexible all the time. It could be 9:30 this time. It could be 8:30. Whatever works for Kev.
It'll be 10. Yeah, it'll be 10:30 my time out there. 10 o'clock my time out there, so it won't be a problem.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. And Sean, yes, Altmaier will be the quarterback next year. I believe in the next couple of years. So, all right. That said, enjoy the rest of your night. Swap me out.
ILL.
I-N